What's up, peeps? Welcome back to Musicians Hub. Today we are talking about, should I use in-ears or wedges? There's pros and cons to both, and at this point, especially with technology, in-ear monitors are the way to go. I mean, there's a ton of benefits to using them, way over wedges, but we'll get into that. So before we dive into it, let's just define what both of these are so we have a clear understanding about what we're talking about. In-ear monitors are essentially these in-ear pieces, these headphones that musicians and artists are wearing on stage. Your monitor engineer is probably wearing them as well, front of the house, whatever. Essentially just a headphone system that everybody's wearing just so we can hear the sound, we're hearing our instruments, we're hearing the band, that's it. Wedges provide the same thing, except for they are now on the floor. So there's like a speaker system that's on the floor that's just projecting back whatever you decided you want in there. That could be your instruments, that could be tracks, that could be just literally whatever you want. So let's go ahead and define which one is better to go with. If you ask any monitor engineer, if you ask any front of the house engineer, they will tell you 100% in-ear monitors are a much better way to go about this. Most musicians, once they get over the hump of just getting comfortable with them being in their ears, prefer in-ear monitors. It's just a much better way to control a wide variety of things, and we're gonna dive into that right now. Here we go. The first thing we have to talk about is this stage volume. When you have wedges, and that's literally another volume, another thing that's just coming back into your microphones, it's enhancing just the overall projection volume level of anything that's going on here. So just remember, you're already gonna have drums, you're already gonna have guitars, especially if their amps are on stage. Your bass player is gonna have an amp. You maybe have a keyboardist with an amp on top of just trying to hear your vocals in their microphone. It's just a lot of things already going on. Once you add these wedges, you now increase that volume because every single person is gonna need to hear whatever they need to hear. That's a lot of sound going back into your microphones, there's a lot of sound on the stage, and that's a lot of sound that's just inside the room in general where you all are performing. Now, when you have in-ear monitors, you essentially eliminate that. Now, you may have like one or two wedges on the stage just to kind of, keep a little liveliness there, and that's totally fine. That could be an artist request, or maybe the drummer wants to just have something there. Totally fine. Another thing is freedom with tracks when you run in-ear monitors. Now, at this point in technology and careers and how everything's just flowing here, most bands and groups and artists are utilizing tracks. When you have tracks, there's a lot of things that are going on, but especially with clicks, sometimes a slate or guide track. On top of just hearing a wide variety of things, you can't have that click and slate going into your wedges. Why? Because the audience is going to hear that. They don't need to hear the click the entire show. That's annoying. It's annoying for musicians, but we have to have that to keep us on track. Another thing when you have these in-ear monitors, there's a whole thing where we have talkback mics and all these other things where we can communicate with each other solely because we have these things in our ears now that are directly going to us. They're never going to the front of the house and they'll never hear it. It's a lot of benefits for this using just that when it comes on the tracks and communication on the stage. Now, a big one is overall protection of your ears. The longer you play music, it's gonna be more and more damaging to your ears the more you're just not protecting them, meaning that you're not controlling the volume that's going inside of your ears. In-ear monitors essentially do that, and especially if you have custom molds, they're designed for your ears, and I made a whole video trying to help you all decide should you use in-ear monitors or not and how to choose and all this other stuff, which I'll pin in this video. Essentially, now when you have these custom molds, there's not a lot of sound, extra sound going into your ears, meaning you're not getting a lot of bleed from guitar amps, you're not getting a lot of bleed from your cymbals or drums and a lot of other things that are not happening. It's a lot more of an isolated controlling system here that your ears have. Once you eliminate that, you can now bring the volume down because you're not fighting to be heard. You're not fighting to hear whatever you need to hear. That overall will protect your ears and it'll extend the longevity of your ears so you're not going deaf, and you can play music a lot more comfortably, a lot longer, and it's just the way to go. I talked about saving bleed and with wedges and all that other stuff. And I'm gonna specifically just cater this portion to front of the house or monitor engineers, and if you are front of the house or monitor engineer, feel free to chime in here. You might have a different view than I have, just because I don't do your job, I just experience things being on the road and whatever. When you have a front of the house or monitor engineer, every single room that you're going into, especially on tour, it's just different. And if you can eliminate just dealing with reflective things that are coming from wedges and extra sounds and how the room is gonna bounce acoustically, if you can just eliminate that, that's just a lot less stress that you have. So as a band member, I wanna make sure my front of the house and monitor engineers are as comfortable as possible. I need them to make sure that everything sounds good. I wanna make sure everything is just sweet on their end. And so if anything we could do on our end to help that process, why not? If it just means I just have to wear these earbuds and get accustomed to that, well, let's just go ahead and do that. So all in all, you definitely want to make sure that you're just bringing that down just to help out your front of the house and your monitor engineers. Now, there's a great benefit for musicians, especially when you want to hear things. Now, most of us, especially if you're playing bass or guitar, or if you're an artist, you're going to want to walk around on stage, or even if you're playing a club, you might want to walk and drift a little bit. The problem is when you have wedges, well, those things are stationary. They're heavy. You're not picking them up and taking them with you if you want to walk to stage left or stage right. You don't really have that luxury. But if you're wearing this pack and your ears are there, you can essentially go wherever you want as long as your transmitter is still going to receive the signal. You can do whatever you want from that point forward. That's a great thing. Your showmanship can increase. The way you engage with an audience can now increase. There's a lot of benefits now when you just wear that in-ear monitor. Now, I'm going to go back to my monitor engineers and just kind of help them out a little bit, especially of us being musicians here. Let's help them out. When you have a monitor engineer, let's just make sure we're okay with what we're talking about. Your monitor engineer is specifically a person that is designed to make sure every person on the stage is hearing what they want. That's from the artist to the drummer to the keyboardist, the bass players, guitarists, the background singers, anyone that's on the stage. Their whole thing is to make sure your mix as an individual is exactly what you want so you can do your job. It's a lot harder with wedges to match that every single time. You're always going to be, all right, let's go drums, let's go bass, let's go guitar, let's go artist. Like, it's just a lot of things that they have to do, because remember, every single room is different. You're gonna deal with different acoustics, you're gonna deal with different, maybe just a different placement in the room, and you don't know how it was treated. A lot of variables here. With wedges, it gets really, really hard to do, and it takes a lot of time. When you have in-ear monitors, you can essentially save that setting that every single musician had, and you probably already saved it from rehearsal. So everyone had everything already dialed in. We feel good. We've already made all of our adjustments, and they're gonna save that setting for each musician. So every time you go into a room, they're like, oh, we're good. You might have some minor tweaks, but we're not starting from ground zero every single time. Most of the time with wedges, you're going to be starting from ground zero, just because you're in a whole different room, different atmosphere, different environment, and all in all, it's just, everything's different. You gotta just do it from ground zero from that point forward. They'll love you if you could just save that setting or making minor adjustments versus making major adjustments every single time. Your timing now goes down, and especially if you're going from festivals to different venues to just whatever, you want to cut down on just the prep time and the inconvenience of dealing with minor nuances and sound check and get comfortable versus just like, I can't hear this, I can't hear this. Eliminate that. Use your in-ear monitors, save those settings, you'll be good to go. So all in all, in-ear monitors are the way to go. Like, there's this really an undeniable thing here. You have to go with your in-ear monitors. Now, as you begin and you're starting out, you may have to go with wedges because that's what the venue has, and maybe your budget doesn't allow this, but you should definitely start investing in getting an in-ear monitor system. Maybe just try to just buy your own packs themselves. That way, when you bring it to the venue, they're just plugging in, and they're just gonna bring that stage volume down, and your life is just a lot easier. So make sure you guys are commenting below, and just if you have a different perspective or you have a different benefit that you might have seen with wedges that I didn't see, or in-ear monitors that I didn't mention, by all means do that. The whole point of this is as a community, as musicians and artists and entertainers that are on the stage here, we need to help each other out and spark conversations, have these dialogues so we can help each other and just enhance our craft, our skill, and just our overall professionalism being who we are. That's gonna be it for me. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, and you guys have a great, great day.